morning, everybody. How's everybody doing today? I won't make you stare at this sty on my eye. I will show you what I'm going to work on instead. If you've been a subscriber, you saw this cuckoo clock that I had to work on. The governor fan for the music box was a problem. So I took the music box out. It's a top mounted. I can get it out without taking all the movement out. And I'm trying to show you what was wrong with it. Hang on, let me find what I'm looking for. I had put all my little pieces away. So this was the problem. This is the little fan wheel, the little plastic wheel. It's supposed to have teeth on it, and all the teeth were gone. And so that's the arbor that it goes on the governor, and the fan goes right there, and it turns the worm screw on the fan. And I had to order some more, so there's the ones I got in. I got a pack of 4 from England somewhere, so it took a little while for them to get in, and I didn't have time to work on it, so I'm just now getting back to it. So it's been so long that I forgot what I did when they first came in. I had to remind myself. So I tried each one of these, and none of the governors will just fit in there. This one that actually goes on it is kind of cut off on the side right there. So 2 options. I can take the sides of one of the other ones and cut it off. Cut this tall part off so that it will fit under that little piece right there. Or I can take the wheel off that I need and put it on, take the wheel off that I need and put it on here. And so that's what I had done. And then I stopped there, and so I had to kind of remind myself where I was on this. The one that I took it off of, I bent this little prong out right there and slipped the wheel out. But for some reason, when I was taking this one apart, I hadn't decided how to take it apart yet, so I bent this side out, which has messed up my configuration for this wheel also. So I spent several hours this morning just trying to get these lined back up. So let me show you what I got on that. Let me show you one other thing. That Black Forest Imports now has the wheels that you can buy to replace. Like, I ordered the 4 governors because I needed a wheel and nobody was selling the wheels at the time. It's a pack of 5. They're anywhere from $80 to $100 depending on what size you need. The bigger one fits the 22, 28, and 36 tine music boxes. The length is 19 millimeters, and then the 18 note one, the length is 16 millimeters. Doesn't say how many teeth are on that little wheel right there. They have a metal one that you can buy for $63. So I felt like I did pretty good getting 4 governors for, I think it was about $100 with shipping from England. And then they also are offering just the wheel if you need the wheel. If your wheel is cracked, they now have some replacement wheels, and they're $7 each. 1.6 millimeters internal diameter, both of them. But one is 7.9 millimeters, one is 6.4 millimeters. So this one up here is 7.9 millimeters. This one is 6.4 millimeters. So just they, like I said, they still don't say how many teeth are on them. This is the only one, the metal one, says that it has 8 pinions right here on the little thing, and that's what you need to know, is how many you need on that. They don't tell you. So if you want to order, there's your website, and let me get my camera back on the tripod. So if you do order one of those wheels or one of the little shafts, the whole thing, you're going to have to take your governor apart. So what I would recommend is bending this piece out, because it's only one thing to adjust when you put it back together. I bent this side out, and it's taken me a while to get this and this parallel, this side and this side parallel, so that this had the right end shake, and it wanted to sit kind of askew. It was hard to get it lined up good. And then I still ended up having to adjust this other one. So when you're putting the new one on, this new one, you want to make sure you've got this wheel parallel to this wheel. So you got to check it in a lot of different directions and make sure they look parallel this way. I know that this wheel doesn't look parallel to the little arm next to it, but this wheel is parallel to that wheel, and that means that the wheel is going to hit the arbor square. So that's what you need. So when you get it on there right, it should spin freely. That's not real free. It's still wanting to hang up a little bit. Not quite right yet. This one has been a bear to adjust because you really can't get in there to do that. So it's got a little more in play than I would like. But you'll notice I took the fan off because when I got this all put back together, I had it working pretty good, but occasionally when I would spin it, I'll show you on a different one that's got all the parts on, it would lock like that. So I was like, well, why is it not wanting to turn? Is it this wheel, or is it this wheel, or is it the worm screw where it hits the other part? So my suggestion is take your fan off, which is easy to do. You can just lift the top bar a little bit and slip your fan out of there, and make sure that these two wheels are interacting like they're supposed to and spinning freely. Then put your fan back on, and if you have a problem, you know that it's between here and the fan. So the fan adjustment is a little tricky. It likes to bind sometimes. You can see these are the ones I ordered and I haven't cleaned them. They're pretty grungy. But you'll notice that the worm screw is not directly, like these don't line up directly. This wheel is a little bit off to the right of center of the worm screw. You don't want it making a ton of contact. I've got several to compare, which is nice. I can look at and see how they're set up. And see how deep the teeth need to go. And you'll notice when I turn it different ways, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes I get my finger in the way. But it's also positional. So remember, if you have a top-mounted music box, don't forget to turn it upside down and make sure that it's still going to turn. Now when it starts turning, the fan goes up in the air. So you got to have enough end shake for that to lift. So I'm going to put the fan back in and finish the last of my adjustments, because you don't want to sit and watch me dink on this thing for hours like I've been doing. And one other thing before I do that, I want to point out that there's two holes in the top of this. There's a little hole and a big hole. The fan does not go in the big hole that's in the center. The fan goes off center. There's usually some kind of dust cover on top of it. So when you're oiling it, you actually are supposed to take that off and put a little drop of oil underneath and put that back on top. But just know, if you look at this and you go, oh, my fan has come out of its spot, it's not supposed to be in the middle. It should be off to the side in that little tiny hole. I've put my fan back on. I don't know if that's in a really good spot or not. I checked it this way, got it where it's just a little bit off center to the right, and I didn't quite have the shaft straight. I had to bend the top of this over a little bit to straighten my shaft up. And then I've got, when I try to do it, it's locking up. It's not going. So it was pulling up so high out of the bottom. There was so much in shake, the bottom pinion was coming out of the hole. So I tightened it up a little bit more, and it's moving that much, and it's still locking up. So I got one of the other ones out to check and see how much it moves. And you can see it moves up and down, but it's probably half of what mine is moving. So I don't have it quite pinched in tight enough yet. So I'm going to squeeze this down a little bit more. The best way I've found to do it is with a my wire bending tool. It fits on there and will bend it like you want without torquing things crazy. It keeps everything pretty square. Now, how much in shake? Still about twice what I need, I do believe. Yep, that's a big difference. Between that much and that much. That's a lot of difference. So I'm going to squeeze it a little tighter. I've still got a good bit of shake here, so I think I need to bind it tighter. And I haven't done that yet because I turned the fan just to see what it would do. And figured out why it was binding. Let's see if I can show you guys again. Alright, so right there it's binding. And there's still twice as much in shake as on the other movement, but you'll notice the teeth are hitting the fan. The fan has gone up as high as it can go. No, it hasn't. It could go up higher. So anyway, this is the frustrating thing I've been doing for hours, is trying to figure out why one gear and then the next won't turn. And I believe that the teeth are just set too deeply into the worm screw. So to remedy that, I can bend this part further back that way. Pull the worm screw away a little bit. Or I can move this that way. either one would accomplish the same thing here, but if I move this one, it's going to change this parallel to that and make it start binding in another spot. So I'm going to go to this back part, pull it away a little bit, and see if I can get it working better. I'm still working on the clearance of this thing because I feel like that's a problem. The end of that tooth, basically there's kind of like 3 teeth that interact with the worm screw, but the center one is the one that's doing the lifting. This one is going to engage and catch that one. That one's pushing off of that one. And you have to have enough clearance between the end of that tooth and the center of that shaft. So you see how much is in that one. Very little. It's a tiny little bit. There's a little bit. If you look, it does have some clearance behind it. But this one has a nice bit of clearance behind it. I'll try to go real slow so you can watch how the teeth interact with it. So the center one is lifting, the top one's coming off, the bottom one is starting to come on and do its lifting. So right there, when the center one becomes the top one, it's got to be able to get out of that worm. And the it's kind of angled, like on the bottom and the top of the worm. It's not flat. It's angled out that way to help push the tooth off. But there's a little point on the end of that tooth, so if I'm binding right in there, it's going to lock up and keep it from going. So I think I just need to get a little more space to let that be able to bypass right there. So let's see if I can do that by bending this back a little further. So I feel like I've got enough clearance there, and it's still lifting up a whole lot and locking up. And then by accident, I said, well, what can I do to keep it from coming up? The little dust cover that's on there. Look what happens. It works great. It lifts up the amount it's supposed to. It doesn't lift up too far. So that little thing on the top does more than just a dust cover for that. It keeps the fan from going too high and locking up. It needs to move just enough to let the next tooth be able to catch and not bind. So anyway, finally, I think I'm ready to put this little governor back on the music box. When you put this little screw back in, you can screw it too tight. I had a lot of resistance once I put that back on. I had to loosen it up just a little tiny bit so that it could move a little bit again. And 2 screws holding the governor to the music box itself. I suggest getting them just barely started in the holes, and that gives you room to slide this back and forth. Most of them have an oblong hole right there. You don't want to wedge it all the way tight. You don't want to push this all the way tight against this. You want to put it in there and then bring it back a little bit and hold it and make sure you're going to be able to turn without too much resistance, and then tighten these down in the right spots. So I think I have successfully changed out that little drive gear for my worm screw. So I'll put this music box back in the cuckoo clock and get it back working again. It is 6 in the evening. I started at 7 in the morning. It has been quite a journey. Lots of tiny little adjustments to make. Lots and lots. So I hope this helps. The easiest thing I could have done would have been taking that new governor and cut the side off, and I probably will do that next time because this was a ton of little adjustments. It's not an easy thing to change that little wheel out. Thanks for watching. Hope it helps you guys.